What's up, everyone? I've been looking forward to this review. Today it's Bad Batch, Season 3, Episode 1, Confined. Let's get into it. So, I'm going to start this review off a bit differently and discuss really the state of Disney Star Wars and why I'm so excited for Season 3 of The Bad Batch. Um, when you look at The Bad Batch compared to sort of the other Star Wars content that has come out recently, I have to say that honestly, The Bad Batch is by and far, to me, my favorite Star Wars content that has come out in the past year, year and a half, 2 years. Looking back at what has come out recently, I think the Ahsoka TV series, while not being the worst of the Disney Star Wars products that has come out, has been sort of the most illustrative as to why Disney Star Wars and some of the content that's come out, and we all know the disaster that was the Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian Season 3, massive disappointment. I think the Ahsoka series really establishes sort of why Star Wars has been struggling, at least in my opinion, and why the quality has not been as good. And I think the cardinal sin that the Ahsoka TV series made was a lack of emotional investment in the characters and the formulaic nature in which it was presented. You essentially had Ahsoka as the dark, broody master, annoyed with a stubborn, rebellious young apprentice with a lack of force sensitivity. And while the premise itself could have been something interesting, could have really delved into the character relationships, I think the TV series was so focused on the next MacGuffin. And how many times have we seen in Star Wars the MacGuffin? Go get, whether it's from The Rise of Skywalker, the Sith Dagger, whether it's, in the case of the Ahsoka TV series, the map orb to go find where Admiral Thrawn is located. It just seemed like that entire show, rather than having real emotional stakes in the characters and really setting up a well-written, by-the-numbers story, I think whether it's due to time constraints, whether it's due to a lack of imagination on the part of the writers, or whether it's maybe due to, concerns about taking risks in the TV series, the Ahsoka series really just sort of, in my opinion, replaced character-driven stakes with plot-driven stakes, which are just not as interesting, quite frankly, to me. But really, that's been formulaic of the live-action Disney Star Wars, really, for the past couple of iterations. When it was Mandalorian Season 3 and the sort of return of Mandalore. And rather than sort of having consistent writing, a consistent plot, it was really just sort of, will they retake Mandalore? And it just seems like with Star Wars, more and more, it's just the next cameo. Now, why I'm so excited about The Bad Batch is this seems to be the one show where the stakes are really emotional in nature. And why I was so excited is because it seems like a show that's actually getting stronger, rather than sort of a show that feels like it's running out of ideas and stumbling to the finish. In my opinion, Season 2 was a significant upgrade from Season 1. Season 1, sometimes it was a little stilted, and that was really because of the subject material of this group of enhanced clone commandos trying to find their way in the universe and really trying to survive in a post-Republic world. And then Season 2, what made Season 2 so great was you merged the existing content that's been in Star Wars, Emperor Palpatine, Senator Chuchi, all of the little fun nods to Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and the cameos and the, tie-ins. What you really did was take that, but never lose sight of the fact that the main sort of focus of the story has really been the family dynamic between the Bad Batch and Omega and her brothers. Especially considering how Season 2 ended with the sacrifice of Tech, really a game-changing moment in the series, and really sort of put forward with not only that, but Omega's capture, really gave our characters sort of something to, a challenge to grow into, and really set the stage for a tremendously exciting season 3 that could really sort of delve into, you know, what they're going to do now. So for the purposes of the review, I'm not going to give a detailed by detailed, heavily spoiler-laden description of, every little plot point that happened in the episode. If you guys are watching this video, you're probably a Bad Batch fan. You've probably already, watched the episode. So I don't really want to go and just sort of repeat every little thing that happened. I'll start off with sort of a general synopsis of the plot. And what's crazy about this episode is this, I think, is probably, at least for me, I think maybe top 5 Bad Batch episode for me. I really thoroughly enjoyed everything about this episode. I thought it was presented in such a tremendous way, and really, as a first episode especially, to set up sort of the conflict and stakes of this season, I think they did a fantastic job. And like I was talking about with respect to the state of Disney, I think the craziest thing is about it, there was no plot really in this episode. Think about in terms of furthering the story, furthering the lore. We didn't get any of that in this episode. Basically, here was the synopsis of the episode. Omega is now confined at the Mount Tantus facility, basically as a hostage of the Empire, to get Nala Se to cooperate with the cloning program. It's all but assured now that the cloning program is really trying to make Force-sensitive clones, specifically for, Emperor Palpatine to use in the future. If anyone remembers The Rise of Skywalker, that this episode really didn't have a lot of plot. I mean, you go and you essentially see Omega trying to come to terms with this new existence that she has, and really I think the central theme of the episode is sort of trying to maintain hope and maintain resistance in a place that's sort of designed to break such ideas and break such resistance. I think if you look at this episode, so much of the work is done via the visuals and the score. Everything about this episode just looks dark, dismal, whether it's the trickling, dropping water at the beginning of every day, and the shadows that basically are around every corner in the facility. The music, the score has always been tremendous for the Bad Batch, but especially in this episode, it just delivers such a somber tone to the entire thing, to the point where you can really sort of feel, basically through the visuals and through the music, sort of that hopeless feeling that, let's be honest, is displayed by the clones in the facility as they go through their day-to-day life. Crosshair really sort of serves as the mouthpiece for that sort of despair. Somebody who's clearly sort of, given up and doesn't really, want to be bothered with Omega sort of trying to help him, because he feels that, sort of his story is over. So that's really the main sort of part of the, of the story. It ends a bit ominously with Dr. Hemlock threatening Omega, basically indicating to her that, actions have consequences. And I'm really wondering or hoping that that is a foreshadowing to further on in the season, to really sort of set the stakes and raise them from Tech's death. Because what I'm hoping is that the Bad Batch's actions affect the galaxy as a whole. And I'm hoping to get that sort of, maybe the third season could really be their efforts to try and help the clones and try and rescue Omega. All in all, like I said, I think the score, I think the visuals really set this episode apart from me. I mean, you have your sort of basic moments, your droid fight at the end and helping Badger escape. But I think really the meat of the episode is just the tonal feel of it. It feels like the stakes of this show have gotten higher. There's a certain darkness to it that, in the beginning it really felt like sort of an extension of the old-timey Clone Wars. It had a bit of a childish sort of chipper atmosphere to it, even though the Empire was taking over. Well, now what you're really seeing, now that we've gotten to season 3, after Tech's death, you're seeing a darker, more serious, more adult show, I think. And if this episode's any indication, I can't wait to see sort of where they take this next. Absolutely, positively enjoyed it. I'm going to give this one a double plus for me. I think this is one of the best episodes. Maybe not to the level of some of the really iconic things you've gotten. Obviously, Plan 99 is up there. Obviously, I think season 2, episode either 8 or 9, when Emperor Palpatine makes his appearance. That's another one that's sort of like really the sort of best episodes in the series. But I think depending on what they do the rest of the season, this is a tremendously good start for the Bad Batch. Alright, so that ends my episode 1 review. I'm going to take each of the episodes in turn. So hopefully over the next maybe day or so, I'll have episodes 2 and 3 out as well. Thanks so much for watching.